Well, thank you, Aaron, for the kind introduction, and thanks to all of you for coming to the SEMA Show this year. We're excited to partner with SCRS, and I'm excited to be here. I was looking forward to kind of talking a little bit about the SEMA Garage in Detroit today, as Aaron talked about, as Aaron introduced, and then, went the wrong way, didn't I? There we go. And also give you a little bit of background on myself. So, again, my name is Ben Kaminsky. Actually, have been with SEMA all of 4 months now, so not a long time for sure. And this is my first SEMA show as actually a SEMA employee. So I got to tell you, it's a pretty exhausting week, but a great week. It's a good exhausted. So this is one of the things I've been looking forward to all week. Honestly, is sharing this with everyone here. So prior to SEMA, I was actually at Chevrolet Performance. I was a design and release engineer there, working on the air intake and exhaust stuff. So I had the distinct privilege of working on the new C8 Corvette, some of the Camaro stuff, and then some of the pickup trucks that's been released recently. So, as far as SEMA Garage Detroit, shifting gears a little bit, SEMA Garage Detroit is a multi-million-dollar investment by SEMA, and the goal of SEMA Garage is to help the SEMA membership and our other partners as well, to basically help folks develop new products, new ideas, and get the training and understanding that they need to succeed in their businesses. So it's a 45,000 square foot facility, which I have the privilege of guiding and operating and directing. And so right now it was a building that we're actually upfitting and outfitting for our particular purposes. So we'll be doing emissions testing there. We'll be doing horsepower testing. We'll have a large install center for influencer videos and instruction manuals and such for our membership to use, as well as, and this is the topic for today, an ADAS center. So there's a lot of, I guess maybe I'll just have a show of hands. How many of you here have heard the term either prior to this week or this week about ADAS? Oh wow, good percentage. So ADAS is Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. And basically what it does is it assists the driver in operating the vehicle in a safe manner. If you have a rear backup camera on your vehicle, that's an ADAS system. So what does ADAS look like today? So it's kind of a range of things, really. It could be as simple as a backup camera, or it could be as complex as path planning and optimization, which can look out 1,000 meters or more in front of the vehicle, trying to understand and take in lots of data to make sure that the vehicle is being operated in a safe manner and that it protects its occupants, basically. So if you take a look at this, I mean, it can be close up. It can be as simple as park assist. It can be rear view cameras. It can be adaptive cruise control. It can be many things. Some vehicles have all of this. Some vehicles have very few of these items. It just depends on what vehicle you have, and it depends on the age of the vehicle, and as to how much ADAS content the vehicle actually has. So what do those sensors look like? And so I just threw a couple pictures up here to give you an example of some of the sensors and what they look like. They could be installed in the windshield. They could be cameras. They could be long-range radar. They could be LiDAR. They could be all sorts of different of executions of that. And so you have to be, I guess especially for the SCRS folks in the room, you have to understand kind of where those reside and what they do and how to interface with those to be successful with repairs. So for us, what we were trying to do in setting up the facility is we were trying to figure out, okay, so for us in the performance aftermarket, we were mainly looking at, for example, modifications to vehicles after OEM sale. So that could be lift kits, that could be lowering kits, that could be different tire sizes, it could be vehicle wraps, it could be different paint on the car, it could be all sorts of different things that can influence ADAS. So what we did was we reached out to a lot of the experts in the industry, and actually they're here in South Hall now. I've spoken with many of them. So there are a lot of excellent people in the industry that really understand this well. I still consider myself a novice in the ADAS for sure, but I've learned a lot, and it's really an interesting technology. So we spoke with a lot of industry experts to really understand, okay, so what tools do we have? And they kind of turned the question around on me and said, okay, well, what vehicles are you going to be calibrating? Well, I mean, at SEMA, we could be doing everything from a Fiat 500 to an F-350 dually to a Sprinter van to a Corvette, maybe even in the same day. So our use case is very broad, and they said, okay, well, with a very broad use case, you're going to have a tool that will do a very broad range of things. So, so actually what we ended up doing was purchasing a variety of tools to be able to do this. So, and there are actually multiple ways that the ADAS likes to be calibrated. The majority of the European and Asian OEMs use what's called a static calibration, which basically means you park the vehicle in front of a set of static targets in a room, and then you commence the calibration from there. Most of the US OEs actually have what's called dynamic calibration, which basically means that you tell the vehicle that it needs to go out and learn, and then you put it into that learn mode, and then you go out and drive kind of a prescribed procedure actually on the roadways. But as anyone from Michigan will tell you, that can be a little treacherous, basically because if you go out and the vehicle is looking for lane lines and things, and there's 2 inches of snow on the ground, that's not going to work so well. Or for those folks in Los Angeles, if the technician leaves the shop at 2, he might not be back till 6, trying to navigate traffic and such. So that can be a little bit perilous. So what does the calibration environment need to look like? So once you've selected the tools, how did we figure out what it needs to look like? Well, unfortunately, there was not a manual for, like a calibration environment for dummies for ADAS. So we had to speak again with the industry experts and say, okay, with our wide use case of vehicles that we have from a variety of OEs, what do we really need to look at? So the calibration environment that we came up with is actually quite large, and this is, to me, one of the drawbacks of the ADAS technology and putting it into shops and regular spaces is so we have actually 2 rooms in Detroit that we're going to dedicate to ADAS study and research and calibration. Those rooms are 40 by 60, so that's a big room, right? We have over 5,000 square feet in the facility that's dedicated specifically to that. Not only that, we get to cut out 5,000 square feet of concrete so that we can re-pour it and make sure that it's actually flat and level. So we actually had a contractor come out and actually map the area, and unfortunately it didn't meet the specification what was in our building already. So, but that's very important, because if the target isn't accurate to the vehicle, or they're sitting on different planes, that can mess up the ADAS calibration for sure. I mean, we're talking about very small increments. We're talking about literally low degrees, like millimeters of accuracy, that when you're looking out, a millimeter at the bumper doesn't seem like that much, right? But a millimeter at 1,000 meters could be 2 lanes of traffic, right? So that's the problem, that's the level of accuracy that you need to have with the ADAS stuff. So other things that we had to consider was lighting, because a lot of these vehicles have, in addition maybe to radar and LiDAR and some of the proximity sensors, they also have cameras. So the cameras are like you and I, right? They like to see, and so it can't be too dark. It's kind of the Goldilocks thing. Can't be too dark, it can't be too light, it's got to be just right. So that was a lot of what we had to do, is figure out the lighting in the room as well. So once we had the calibration environment figured out, the human factor is really, I mean, it's kind of the squishy thing behind the wheel, right? I mean, again, so as much as I appreciate the ingenuity of the folks here on this slide, this was kind of meant to be a joke, I would highly not recommend someone on their knees holding a target in front of a vehicle to try to calibrate the ADAS system. That's just not going to work. But unfortunately, the vehicle, if you lie to it, it will believe you. So these gentlemen were likely able to go in and calibrate the vehicle with a completely incorrect calibration. Who knows how it's going to operate in the industry? So these folks have to be very detail-oriented, and they have to make sure that they are doing the procedures correctly, making sure that they're thorough with their documentation, and taking their time and doing something correctly. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get the vehicles back out on the road, operating in the manner that they left the factory. So as you can see, this room, this is actually our ADAS room 2. If you were bored by the video that just showed, that's good. That's what you want. Me, as being kind of an ADD person, I would walk into this room and go, well, I don't really have anything to look at. That's perfect. That's exactly perfect. That's what the ADAS wants to be able to see in a room where you're calibrating static calibrations. So if you'll notice, it's got white walls, no contrasting. It's got a light floor. You want to make sure that the vehicle can understand the contrast and the targets that you're putting in front of it. The other thing is that radar bounces off of metal objects. You don't want to have metal in the room. You don't want to have other things. So our doors are fiberglass reinforced panels. They aren't metal doors. We took the bollards out to make sure that it wasn't bouncing off of that and getting a false signal. So all these things are the stuff that we took into account to come up with our ADAS Technology Center. So I guess I would put it to you. We have a plan at SEMA to move forward and to use this ADAS Technology Center to do research and to help our membership. But really, as you know, collision repair specialists, what is your plan for ADAS? ADAS, the amount of cars in the ADAS car park today will triple in the next 5 years. So if you don't have a plan, I would highly encourage you to at least think about it and understand if you're not going to do it in your facility, where should you do it? Because that's really going to be really important for you going forward for your success in repairing a vehicle. So anyway, thanks again for being here. I've really enjoyed our time together, and thanks, Aaron, for the invite. I really appreciate it. So yeah, anyway, take care.